everybody, welcome back to EMESIS. Today...
What's up, Dhar Mann fam?
Oh yeah, what is going on, our Dhar Mann fam? We've been watching a lot of that guy's videos lately. He is maybe the greatest YouTuber I've ever come across. Our friend Alex, who's been on a previous episode, showed it to us, and I've never really seen anything quite like it. I feel like an alien made it, or at least someone that has never interacted with human beings before in his life. Although there was one where he had some entrepreneur guy on there with him, and he was like, "Hi, it's me and my good friend," insert name here, but they clearly didn't want to be in the same room as each other. Or at least the guy that he had with him was put off by Dhar Mann and didn't actually want to. Anyway, so basically
he was just there for the paycheck.
Yeah, so anyway, Dhar Mann is this entrepreneur YouTube guy, I guess. His entrepreneurship is separate from his YouTube videos. He's this guy that has made a bunch of really big sales. He's really wealthy. He has a video that shows his house, and his house is bigger than the high school that I went to. It's fucking enormous. It's 3 or 4 stories. Has a pool in the back. But so he's
got he's got a Twitter that doesn't have that many followers. He's got a Facebook that's got 9 million likes. He's got a YouTube channel with 9 million subscribers, and his videos get absurd amounts of views. I had only recently heard of these, and they have 20 million views, some of them, 13 million views, and I don't know anybody that watches these until recently when Jess and Alex told me about them, and then a couple streamers I watch were making fun of his videos, and that's about it. I didn't know this was a thing.
Well, I think Alex found out about, because he showed me, I think he found out about it through YMS, Your Movie Sucks, because he would go on stream and be and yeah, Dhar Mann is a really dumb YouTuber, or whatever, that kind of thing, and so Dhar Mann makes these videos that, yeah, they get absurd amounts of views, and I think he bots them, honestly, because
they have to be.
Literally, when Alex and I were watching his videos, one of them had been uploaded 10 hours before, and it already had 7 million views, which doesn't happen. Fucking PewDiePie doesn't get that, in his peak didn't get that many views, you know? That's an insane amount. But so he makes these videos that the titles will be well, this is an actual one. It's basketball coach kicks gay person off of team, lives to regrets it, or lives to regret it. What happens next, you won't believe. And so they pick all these really, I guess, stereotypical scenarios. A kid is being bullied in school, but then the bully has something that happens to him, and then at the end, they become friends, that kind of thing.
It's the same video every fucking time. I swear to God, I've seen so many. There's always just okay, you take the general idea is a bad person or someone that seems bad does something bad to good person. Good person is sad about it. They find out that bad person has a grudge or whatever, and then at the end, good person gets poetic justice or whatever, and bad person is crying because they did something bad.
So there's a few that I watched 6 or 7 of these fucking things. One of them was this kid is getting bullied for having wearing glasses, and I don't mean he has dumb looking glasses. I mean literally he's bullied because he's wearing glasses, which has never happened in the history of anything before. Yeah, they're calling him Wazoo 4 Eyes or something. He's some Indian kid, and I don't remember what his name was. It was I only remember it was Waz something, so I kept calling him Scott the Wazon or whatever his name was. But yeah, and so basically this guy's bullying this kid for wearing glasses, and then the bully turns out the reason he can't, so they keep setting up that he can't read the things on the board, or either that or he just refuses to answer, and we find out that it's because he needs glasses too. And so there's a scene where they're at the eye doctor, and he's really apprehensive about getting glasses. He's like, "Mom, I don't want to wear those, people will make fun of me." And then so he gets glasses, and the teacher calls him out on the fact that he's not wearing glasses, and is like, "Your mom told me that you're supposed to be wearing your glasses. Why don't you take them out and put them on?" And so he puts them on, and then everyone else is making fun of him. They're like, "Haha, 4 Eyes, what's up, blah blah blah." And then the kid that he bullied at the start comes and is like, "Hey, don't be saying those mean things, don't you want to be not judged for all this fucking bullshit?" And then they become friends at the end, you know, big ol' happy ending. It is the fucking dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
That's almost kind of like the gamer girl one. There's two gamer girl ones actually. There's the first one and there's a sequel. They actually did a follow up.
And please get into these because I haven't seen them.
Okay, so the feature Sniper Wolf or SS Sniper Wolf, this really big channel that I didn't realize was that big because back in the day they used to do like Metal Gear Rising speedruns and they did like Black Ops 2 videos and they had like a following. I didn't watch them too much. Their name comes from a Metal Gear character. But I guess over the years with like Fortnite and COD as well and other games probably, they've become like a massive channel, I guess, for like horny 13-year-old boys probably.
Wait, you're saying Silent Wolf, isn't that a Smash per player?
No, Sniper Wolf.
Oh, Sniper
Silent
Wolf.
Wolf's the guy that got murked by Axe in the or not finals.
Okay,
but in
I guess I'm having
those.
hearing problems right now. But so this person's
it's
just like
Sniper
in
Wolf.
in these videos.
So they're at the beginning. They're part of this PS5 giveaway that Dhar Mann and Sniper Wolf are doing, and then she acts for a little bit in these gamer girl videos. So the first one is there's this girl. Her older brother gets a PS5, and she wants to play on it because she likes video games because she watches Sniper Wolf on YouTube play video
Oh my God.
games. And her mom is like, no, girls don't play video games. Have this Barbie instead. And then she sneaks in to play the PS5. She's playing Warzone. And then she gets like second place. And the mom's like, see, I told you girls can't play video games.
Like, dude, if she got
And
second place, that's still pretty fucking good.
Yeah, like she got kills. Or at least like the gameplay that they showed on the screen. And then they go to this, there's like a parking lot or whatever that she's talking about, like, well, I want to play games because I watched Sniper Wolf and she's a gamer girl. She started playing games when she was 7, and then she's like, no, you can play with Barbies instead. So she throws this Barbie on the ground, and guess who walks by?
Dhar Mann.
Sniper Wolf.
Oh my God, like in character,
And
like as
she's
herself.
Yes, as like the YouTuber. And then fucking they have a conversation. She's like, oh, what happened? And she's like, oh, I just really wish I could play video games. And she realizes it's Sniper Wolf, and then Sniper Wolf says some like motivational shit, and it's like, actually, I have a PS5 right now, I'll let you have it. She literally just gives this girl a PS5 for free.
What is she, Mr. Beast?
And then I guess. And then this girl starts playing the PS5 and gets a win on Warzone while she's live streaming or whatever. And guess who's watching the live stream?
The mom.
Fucking Sniper
Oh, I thought you were
Wolf.
gonna say the mom. She's like, get off the
No,
computer.
the mom comes in. The mom comes in, and she's like, I am really proud of my gamer girl daughter. And she's like, it's not gamer girl, it's gamer. I dropped my fucking guitar pick I was playing with. But whatever.
Wait, so like, the moral is... So what's the moral supposed to be? That like...
That girls can play video games. That's the moral. And then the reason that she's like, oh, it's not gamer girl, it's gamer, is because Sniper Wolf told her that when she gave her the PS5.
But like, I don't know. Are people that offended by the term gamer girl? Like, a lot of, I don't know,
No,
people I
it's just
know
like-
would just kind of use that to call themselves that because they're gamer girls, you know? Like, who cares?
Yeah, I don't know. But people just, like, the whole point of this was that girls can play games, which leads into the sequel, which has this girl, she's like now an established streamer, and there's like a couple people at school that are making fun of her. They're like, oh, like she's just like a rich streamer kid, she can afford anything, and she's not even like that good of a gamer, she's just famous.
So they're making fun of her
boosted.
for being like self-made or whatever, because like she probably wasn't rich to begin
I
with.
guess. Well, like, this one girl's like, oh, I bet you... Because this rich girl or whatever, her rich parents, like, they get in a Tesla, and she's like, oh, I bet you could afford that with all the streaming money you have.
Why were they in a Tesla
like,
anyway?
What? I don't know, because Dhar Mann let them use the Tesla for filming.
Oh, well, yeah, knowing him,
And
he
then,
probably has like 5.
And then there's this big reveal where one of the bullies is poor, and the mom is like, I gotta fix this car, and they can't because they can't afford it, and then they might have to skip rent because they can't afford to pay the rent. And so you know what happens? Sniper Wolf and the gamer girl go and give them money to pay off everything, And then he realizes, wait, I'm bullying this nice person. I'm gonna stop bullying them. And that's the moral of the story.
Well, to me, it sounds... I haven't seen this, but it sounds like more to me that the moral of this story is that rich people aren't inherently evil, which is perfect for Dhar Mann, considering Dhar Mann has a net worth probably like $20 million.
He posts the most like vapid, basic shit on Twitter. It's always just like basically ways you can say never give up.
Oh my god, there was this one that was just like I showed you. It was fucking he was like, don't drink from just every cup that is offered to you. That's how you get poisoned. And I retweeted that because it sounds as like a shit post, but he thought it was like the most poignant shit in the world.
Yeah.
Did you watch? Did you watch the cops one?
Fire all cops! Fire all cops! Yeah, I saw that one.
I fucking love that one. That one is the one that made me really question Dhar Mann's like political views.
I thought that one was a porn. I thought it was like the start of a porno, the way it was, because the acting feels that way.
The acting in all of them is fucking atrocious. Like, I don't know how they find all these people that literally cannot act. Like, they clearly don't go to a casting place and try to find... They don't hold casting calls. It's probably just random people that they know. And it's
people that bought merch for the Dhar Mann fam.
Funniest one, though, is that... Oh, but in this cops one, so the basic thing is, like, this woman is protesting by herself, just, like, on some random street corner with no one else around. She's saying... Fire all cops in, like, the tone of voice that I'm using right now, like, that volume. Because, from what I'm, like, guessing, they did try doing a take where she's, like, yelling fire all cops, but then someone came and told that they can't be doing that on that property. So then, they just have her going, fire all cops, and then a cop walks by, and, well, at first, like, a black guy walks by, and he's like... Listen, I have my issues with the police, but they're not all bad. And she's like, psh, or whatever, you know. And then cop walks by, just very casually, and she, like, tells him about how he's, like, I don't know, upholding an oppressive system or whatever. And then he's like, okay, whatever, and just walks away. And then she gets her purse stolen by some guy, and...
It's so convenient. He just shows up.
Absolutely. And he's like, give me your purse. And so he takes her purse and runs off. And then the cop goes and, like, gets her purse for her. That part is really funny, too, because he just goes up and he's like, what happened? He's like, he stole my purse. He's like, I'm on it. And then just immediately goes and right away catches the guy. And then while he's handcuffed, he starts telling this woman, like, some thing about... how, you know, I put myself on the line for everyone every day, and I don't do it because I hate minorities or whatever. I do it because I do it because I just want to see justice in the world, and it's hard for me every single day. Like, all this weird shit. And then, at the end, yeah, this woman that was just, like, 3 minutes ago protesting the cops is now like, actually, they're not all so bad. And I'm like, maybe that's realistic in some kind of way, that there are people that will just be that easily, you know, turned over to the other side, but...
Well, the thing is, that cop isn't really even realistic, because he didn't look like a fat thumb, so is it really a cop? Like, it's very inaccurate casting.
I fucking loved it, though. It made me wonder what Dhar Mann's political views are, because there's another one where a coach kicks a gay person off of their basketball team just because he's gay, and then... Like, the moral at the end, basically... There's a lot of shit that happens in it. It's probably his funniest one, but the moral at the end is that just because you're gay doesn't mean you're different, and that you can still be good at basketball and fucking whatever other bullshit.
I didn't know that until Dhar Mann told me, so maybe it was a good video.
So he's, like, trying to peddle, like, progressive views or whatever, but then also put out these videos where he's like, actually, the cops are good.
Maybe he's an enlightened centrist.
Yeah, like, I'm pretty sure he's just, like, a radical centrist or something. Not even radical.
He's just about the love, bro. He's about the positivity and the peace and the love.
Well, it's funny, because I thought he was an alien or something, but I'm pretty sure it's just that he's so absurdly rich that he just doesn't know how human beings interact with each other. Because when he's...
What, you wouldn't give someone a PS5 because they wanted to be a gamer? What the fuck is wrong with you?
No, I'd do it if they screamed Alvin in public.
Yeah, I actually would.
But yeah, Dhar Mann, please look him up. That's DHAR space MANN. Enter the Dhar Mann. He starts all of his videos of being like, hey, Dhar Mann fam. Like, and we are proud members of the Dhar Mann fam.
Oh yeah, matching hoodies.
Yeah. So, yeah, welcome back to EMESIS.
It's been a long ass time. I think that was a good way to get right back into it, just like exploding off the energy of what we had recently watched.
Well, and you could explode off more. You've been playing Resi 8 lately. I want to hear more about that.
Oh yeah, I've been looking for new games to play because I had pretty much been satisfied with what I'd played. I could just finish Nier, which I'm very close to. I've done 2 of the endings out of the 5. And then a new Nier came out, which is a remake of the original. Gonna play that later. But Resident Evil 8 really caught my attention. I hadn't even really played the demos that had come out. I had seen people play them, and I had seen like a couple trailers of the game, but I wasn't really trying to spoil too much. But apparently those, like, all what was shown was barely even scratching the surface, because I've been playing this game for like the past few days straight, and holy shit, it's been a ride.
How far in are you think?
I'm about several hours in. I'm in the final act now.
No. And you said it's good. Like, you said it's kind of like a combination of like 7 and 4, which I think sounds really appealing.
Yeah, so it's got the inventory management that 4 has, kind of like the Tetris block idea where you have to move things around to fit them in.
That's awesome.
And then it's got the shooting is kind of like 4, but upon revisiting gameplay of 7 also has that, so it is the same shooting as 7, but it's very similar to 4. Because instead of like actually aiming down sight, you just have like a really small reticle that you're pointing to shoot. It's not quite exactly like 4, but it feels like it, but in first person.
And then...
So I really like the mechanics of it. And also just the puzzle solving is very... Sometimes it's frustrating, but you're really satisfied when you get through one of those puzzles that you've been spending like half an hour trying to figure out.
And this part's gonna get into spoiler territory, but what was that thing you were gonna send me earlier? Like, some really terrifying moment in it? I want to hear about that.
Oh, so there's this one part... So, rather, there's multiple parts of the game that take place in different areas. So you have, like, the castle's kind of the main centerpiece, but then there's, like, this house you visit later, and then there's, like, a area with like water in a cave that you visit, and then there's the place I'm visiting now, which seems like I'm not really sure what it is yet. I haven't quite gotten into it. I think it's like a factory of some sort. But in the house segment, I won't really spoil what it is or like show anything of it, because it's just something you have to see for yourself on your first playthrough. But it's one of the most terrifying monsters in like any game I've ever played. And just like, not even the design of the monster, it's the sound design. It's the environment you fight it in, and it's like how you navigate that whole segment. Everything about it is just like perfection in the horror genre.
You said it was like Silent Hill.
And it reminded me a lot of something you would have seen in a Silent Hill game. And I feel like Resident Evil right now is at a point where if Silent Hill games aren't coming out, the new Resident Evil games are going to have to do, and they're doing a really good job. Because I really like 7 as well.
Oh, well, yeah, 7... I mean, I didn't play 7, but I still need to play it, though, because it... Like, the thought of a first-person Resident Evil game is interesting to me, because I remember as a kid, I was wondering why there were no, like, first-person Resident Evil games, because, like, the closest we ever had up till this point, unless I'm, like, omitting some games...
Was it like that?
Yeah, I was about to say, the Umbrella Chronicles on the Wii, which I played a lot at my neighbor's house. That game is actually really fun. Like, it's... basically the same as just like any other rail shooter on the Wii. Like, it's like House of the Dead Overkill, it's like Dead Space Extraction, one of those things, but, you know, with Resident Evil themes, and I thought it was fun. But apparently there's another one that's terrible. I played the good one.
Yeah. I have never played any of those, but I know that there's one that's, like, apparently very lowly rated. It's considered, like, one of the worst RE games.
Which, like that's interesting, considering the competition. Like, I don't know. I thought Resident Evil 5 was okay, but, like,
it's a fun co-op game, but it's not, like, an amazing Resident Evil. It's not really survival horror. It's, like, got some of that, but it's mostly just an action game to play.
Oh, yeah, none of it
buddies.
is, like, scary to me. I don't know. Like, I think there are parts in Resident Evil 4 that are... Like, the thing is, I, like, replayed it more recently. I didn't beat it or anything, but I thought that it would end up being, like, scarier than it is with, like, my modern lens, but... It's not. It's just like a very atmospheric game with, Like, the scariest thing is when you feel like you're up against a monster that you're, like, very ill-equipped to deal with. Especially the fucking chainsaw dudes. Like, if you don't have a shotgun, fucking forget it. Or, like, you know, some kind of rifle.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like the remakes of 2 and 3 really helped add more, like, horror elements back into the games. Because I feel like if you were to play the first 3 games right now, the originals, like, they're great games. They still hold up in their genre. But I feel like the scaring isn't really there. But when you play the remake of 2 and Mr. X pops up and starts chasing you around, or Nemesis in 3, that's really when they, like, were able to kind of put the true
Oh yeah, I
horror back
remember
into that.
Mr. X was so like freakish or whatever that it became like a meme that people like he would just be showing up.
Yeah, everyone was like modding him. They would like just randomly pop him into memes, or they would like in the game itself there was mods to like turn him into other things. There was one that played "Where the Hood At" by DMX. Whenever
R.I.P. DMX, by the way. That happened while I was away, which I'm gonna get into that whole thing. But I was gone for about a month, and I kind of like I discovered while I was away that DMX died. Like, that wasn't something I found out when I got back, but I was like, man, that fucking sucks. I don't know. Should I just get into my shit now?
Yeah, tell them where you've been the past like almost 2 months, really. Like, I mean, you kind of took your internet leave and then you
My
took
real
your
leave,
physical leave. So
because
you've
I have
been
a
gone for
drinking
little
problem,
while.
ladies and gentlemen. So basically, I was away for. So I relapsed about a couple months ago a few months ago now, like late February. Just getting trashed every single fucking day, not like really doing much of anything. I would like try to work on music, but I could barely even see my DAW that I was working within and stuff, and would just kind of sit around watching movies and like surprisingly being able to retain information. Usually when I'm like drunk all the time, I can't actually remember anything that I've partaken in, but I watched like After Last Season and I can remember pretty much everything that happened in that.
Well, that's an unforgettable
it really
experience.
is. I need to talk about that at some point. But so basically, I kind of, but after like only about a week of drinking every day, it stopped being fun. And usually it takes more like a month for that to set in, but it happened right away this time. But I just like couldn't stop for the whole physical the physical and mental withdrawal element, because I am not equipped to deal with alcohol withdrawal. I do not think anybody is. It's one of the most horrible, like maybe the most horrible feeling I've ever experienced in my life, especially as someone that already has this like general. I've been diagnosed with like a panic disorder and stuff. I know none of this is fun to hear about, but the story gets a little more fun.
It's life, it's reality, so it's
so I was like calling around detox places trying to, because I realized like fuck this, I don't want to be living like this sucks, but I also don't have the fortitude to like taper or like cold turkey on my own. I would have ended up going fucking insane and probably like shot myself or something. So like my solution was to go into detox and then subsequently a 4-week stay in a rehab center, which when I went to detox, actually I don't really remember much of anything that happened in it, because I was kind of like, you know, in this come down state where I didn't really retain anything that was happening. Like, it was just kind of my brain just was readjusting to the real world, and
your mind was in one place and your body in another, really.
Exactly, yeah. The only thing I particularly remember in there is that I read Industrial Society and Its Future, the Ted Kaczynski Unabomber Manifesto, which is surprisingly potent and very predictive, I would say. I have some issues with it. I won't get particularly political. I think Ted Kaczynski doesn't know what a leftist is, or like, at the least, he thinks like he's pretty sure he just means like SNL neoliberals when he says leftism. 'Cause he's talking about like people that do like activist causes without like necessarily even believing in what they're talking about. They just kind of feel that they have to, which is kind of a interesting point to be written in fucking 1995, considering how that is nowadays. But I don't know. When I was gone, I was such a little cuck for Ted Kaczynski that I was like, when I was like, I would just randomly flip to the parts about the power process and surrogate activities and just read them like over and over again. I'm like, that's probably not a good sign, but
It's fascinating material, though, like, regardless of who he is as a person and, like, all that shit. It's just, like, it's interesting to view writing from someone with that mind.
Yeah, well, it's weird because I think the book is very like, it feels very lucid. It doesn't feel like it's come from, like, an insane person. It's not like anything, I almost said Arthur Chu. What's the guy's name? Sung Hui Cho, the, Virginia Tech shooter. It's way more cohesive than anything that guy ever written. I don't know if you've ever read his screenplays, but they're like Tommy Wiseau level of like not making any fucking sense. It's hilarious.
Didn't he like write a part about how he was gonna go and listen to what's the fucking Collective Soul song, Shine?
Heaven let your light shine down. Yeah,
where like and like people have accounted that he would listen to that song all the time and it would literally piss off his roommates.
Of course, because it's fucking Shine by Collective Soul.
Well, yeah, it's that, and it's also you're hearing it all the time.
Well, yeah, like if I have to hear that song in any capacity, I want to like jump out of the car, but then to have to hear that all the time, like that's the point where you just like find a bench to sleep on instead. Just never spend any fucking time in there at all. So, I went to detox, and after I went to detox, they found a stay for me. So I went from Tacoma to, this doesn't really matter to anyone else, but I went from Tacoma to Lacey, which is about a half hour away from Tacoma. I just took an Uber there while like drunkenly trying not to vomit in the back of this person's car. But yeah, and so I went to detox. Don't really remember much about it, but they found me a rehab place in Cedro-Woolley, Washington, which is about 3 hours away from my home in Tacoma. And that place is actually really nice. Apparently a lot of it's haunted. Like Cedro-Woolley is kind of like out there, like just kind of not like out in the middle of nowhere kind of town, and
that's the next Silent Hill game. They're gonna make a new one. That's where it's gonna be.
But like it absolutely would be that sort of thing, except there's too many people there. Like it's not like overly populated, but like there's no like dead nurses and stuff there. Hopefully, there is, however, a like an old mental institution that I learned there. We like went over this one field and they were like, oh yeah, this is a cemetery. I'm like, what? I don't see any headstones or anything. The reason why is because it was like an old institution from like back when they were still doing lobotomies, and they just didn't want any of these like people like they don't want their legacy to be that they died in psychiatric care, because a lot of people like just straight up died in there from like mistreatment and stuff. And so what they would do is they would just bury these bodies and not put headstones there. So like unless somebody tells you, you don't even know that there's people buried under there, which is almost kind of
That's kind of a freaky thought. Like, you could just be, like, walking through a field with, like, dead people under you and you don't even know.
That'd be kind of cool, like, if that was just everywhere. I mean, maybe it is, like, people constantly decomposing and, like, but then, like, new things get built and you just don't know that, like, you know, 300 feet deep, there's just some, like, old senator or something.
Oh, they found a dead body. They were doing, some construction, building these, I think they were student homes, like a bunch of apartments, and when they were digging that land up, they found like, I don't know what used to be there, but I guess somebody was buried on the property and they had to like relocate it to the cemetery.
And I guess that guy got a proper burial. I wonder if they fucking found out who it was. They find out it's like Mark Twain or something.
Yeah, just buried in my local city under some fucking random land.
So I went to rehab in Cedro-Woolley, and very, very mixed thoughts about it. I thought it was really nice there for the first, like, week of my stay, and then very quickly it turned to absolute hell, and I discharged before I was supposed to. Like, I was supposed to stay for 28 days, but I only stayed for about 20, because... So, I guess I'll start at the beginning. When I went there, I didn't really like it at first, because it reminded me of this telecare that I've been to, which a telecare is basically like a any ward, kind of, with way worse treatment and absolutely insane people. And I'm not exactly all there mentally or whatever, but I'm not like pulling my pants down and rubbing my shit on the walls, which actually happened in that telecare. But yeah, so at rehab I didn't really like it at first because I was like kind of worried that it was going to end up like that, but very quickly it turned out to be really cool. The first interaction I had with anyone in there, I've been telling everyone about this.
This is a good story.
So I was wearing my Lil Peep hoodie. It's just like a fucking bootleg one I got on Amazon for like $20, and some guy, his name was Eric, well, I learned that later, but he came up to me and he's like, first of all, he was wearing a shirt that said to fish or not to fish. What a stupid question. Which,
he's one of those like stereotypical like Facebook fisher memes. They have like the fishing hats and the shirts that are like, I would normally say good morning, but I'm not fishing, so it ain't a good morning.
it's literally that, yeah. Like, cut all this political crap out. I just want to fish. That kind of guy. He's not like a Facebook type though. I don't think anyway. But like I don't know if he would know how to navigate a computer. He was about my dad's age, like probably 55 or something. But he had this real great voice though. He would talk like this. Like he sounded like he was smoking like 3 packs of cigarettes every day since he was like 8. And he even told me, he's like, yeah, I've been sounding like this since I was 14. Like that's
I wonder
awesome.
why.
I know, right? Just that's what happens when you got too many like he didn't smoke like regular like cigarettes or whatever. He would roll his own and like unfiltered, and he would give me a couple and they were good, but like filterless cigarettes will kill your lungs very, very quickly, even compared to like filtered cigarettes, which are obviously not fucking good for you, but I guess this is better for you than fucking going in raw. But that guy was so cool though. But yeah, so at first I didn't like this place, but then I really got ingratiated to it. Like my roommate was really cool. He would sit around and tell me the plots of various comic books. And like,
wait, before you get to that guy, you forgot to mention the big thing that this fishing Eric guy did.
Oh shit, yeah.
What he said to you when he read your hoodie.
I was wearing my Lil Peep hoodie, and he came up to me and he's like, "What's your shirt say? Little people."
That's the best part.
No, and like I tried not to laugh at his face, so I didn't. I'm just like, "Oh no, it says Lil Peep. He's a musician, you know." And then I went to my room and just started fucking dying laughing, like. And I immediately wrote it down because, like, in case I forgot it. Because I'm like, I fucking need to tell someone about this. But then again, I don't know how I would have forgotten that. But yeah. So at first, but yeah, my roommate, his name was Brandon. I don't know if I'm gonna blur out all these names later, but he would sit there and tell me the plots of like comic books, and it's weird because I don't give a shit about comic books at all. But like he was able to like explain them in such a way that it really fascinated me, and I was able to. Like, I was hanging on to every word and would even, like, ask fascinated questions, like, as he was telling them. But he would be telling me about the plot of, like, Planet Hulk and stuff. Or, like, he would be like, yeah, so in this one, like, Hulk is on a spaceship that's, supposed to be going to one place. But then through, like, a radiation field, he gets thrown off course into a completely other solar system. And, like, nobody else, like, knows even where Hulk is. And so he finds a planet. And then when he goes there, they find out that he's so powerful that they end up crowning him the king of them, and so it becomes Planet Hulk. And he told me that segue, like, that is the build-up comic, basically, into World War Hulk. Which,
Hulk?
Yeah, which I think is the greatest name for a comic, or pretty much anything that I've ever heard. Like, and yeah, so that one also is basically the Hulk like has a world war get started around him, and he recruits a team of like, you know, fucking superhero strength people to go and fight this world war for him.
The whole time, like, the MCU could be doing this and they're not.
No, yeah, they could be.
I would watch
World
War Hulk, the movie.
Oh, me too. And like, in their Ghost Rider shows up, and he does. So this whole thing with Ghost Rider, I never knew any of this, but with Ghost Rider, he's never supposed to activate the Spirit of Vengeance, because if it does, like, it can fucking destroy worlds. Like, it's insanely powerful, and he has to make sure to, like, make sure that never happens. But then they encourage him to do it, to, like, try and save this planet or whatever, or just do something like that. And so he activates the Spirit of Vengeance, and the only reason I knew what that was is because there was a movie that came out a while back. Yeah, Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, which was the sequel. Apparently was. Yeah, and apparently it was fucking terrible. And it was so funny because Brandon told me about Batman v Superman and how, like, they completely ruined the character of Doomsday by so basically Doomsday is supposed to be unkillable, but they kill him almost immediately in the Batman v Superman movie. And
well, Batman's like a murderer in that movie, which like is a complete betrayal of what I know about his character from the movies I've seen.
Yeah, like he kills like a couple people in the Tim Burton Batman, but like I don't care. Like I just wanted to see him like, you know, kick ass, and he does. Like that movie's great, but it's like after Brandon left, like at one point, like, so they would bring in movies, like they would, I guess, import them from like Redbox or some bullshit, and they were like, yeah, so we got blah blah blah. They had Cars, they had like all this, like, these movies I didn't want to watch, but then they had Batman v Superman, which I also didn't want to watch, but like one of my friends in there, or like people that I made friends with, Chris, like knocked on my door and was like, hey, we're watching Batman v Superman, you want to come watch it with us? And I was like,
you have a choice between that and like children movies.
Well, yeah, I had the option of that or just sitting in my room doing nothing, basically. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna go watch Batman v Superman with these people. And I kind of got there when, like, I didn't get there at the very beginning. I got there when there's that. Have you seen that movie, Chris?
I've seen a few reviews of it, and I have seen clips of it. I don't think I have seen the movie in its entirety. I might have, but if I did, I forgot most of it.
Do you know that scene where Superman is like in a Capitol building and they're like protesting Superman? They're like
there's like a big like protest. I do remember that.
Yeah, and they're protesting, like they're a bunch of like religious picketers basically, and
they're like Superman is replacing God or something.
Literally, yeah, one of the signs that they have says you can't love God and Superman. And I was just sitting there like, who fucking cares? Why are they trying to like inject politics or like religious politics or whatever into fucking Batman? And like, I didn't get it at all. Well, Batman and Superman, but so Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor is one of the worst characters I've ever seen in a movie, or at least like one because
Casting choices.
Well, one because of what I know about Lex Luthor the character. Two, that Jesse Eisenberg is a very good actor in everything I've seen him in that isn't Batman v Superman. And also just the fact that they fucking cast him as Lex Luthor of all people. What, like, he doesn't even, spoiler alert, he doesn't even have a bald head until the like last 3 minutes of the movie when he goes to prison, and or like 5 minutes, and when he goes to prison and they shave his head off, or no, it's not his head, they shave all his hair off, and he's like sitting in like behind bars, and he's like, and the clock is going to keep on ticking, tick tick tick. And like the funny thing is I was sitting there laughing my ass off, and everyone else was like taking it seriously and like, oh my god, Lex Luthor has really gone crazy now. And I was just fucking like laughing because it is so stupid.
Tick tick. Yeah, like how are you supposed to take that seriously, especially when it's the guy that plays Mark Zuckerberg playing Lex Luthor?
And so, but yeah, so the Doomsday thing at the end of this movie, so Doomsday is supposed to like, the way that he works is anything that could badly injure or kill him, his body quickly adapts to the point where that is no longer effective. So Doomsday is effectively unkillable, but then in this movie they kill him in all of like 10 minutes at the very end by like nuking him and then hitting him with like this kryptonite, like, or like some spear thing with energy in it. I think it was kryptonite. Like, it was so, like, and the thing is, I wouldn't give a shit about that if I didn't know before now, or like I know it now that that's just not how the character is supposed to be. Like, I don't know how you fuck up a character that bad. I just kind of get the sense that it's made by people that don't know anything about the comic books. They're people that saw...
They just thought it would look cool in the movie, I guess.
Yeah, and what's kind of weird, I was kind of getting into its shittiness after a while, but one thing I really noticed about it is, like, those movies are so competently made, but they have, like, no reason for you to give a shit about them. Like, when I was watching that one, I'm like, it was kind of, like, that movie's PG-13, and I know they can't exactly make, like, an R-rated Batman movie, or, like, it wouldn't be, like, as, definitely not as many people would be seeing it, and they need to make a shit ton of money, but, like, I was watching it, and there's this part of me that was like, I'm seeing nothing cool here because it's not a R-rated movie, and it's like, I know that's kind of weird. Like, it makes me sound like I'm trying too hard to be an adult or whatever. But, like, no. Most good movies I see are R-rated because there's things you can do in an R-rated movie that you can't do in a PG-13. Like, with an R rating, like, all bets are off. You know, you can pretty much do whatever you want. Like, and, like, Batman is, like, killing people constantly in that movie, but not in a cool way. It'll just be, like, off-screen, a car lands on somebody. You don't even get to see it in the movie. Like, it's so...
You just are kind of like told about it, or like it's implied.
Yeah, it's so fucking... Yeah, that movie sucked. But anyway, yeah. So it's like after a bad first couple days, I really started getting into the like little culture there. There were all these people that were like from various walks of life that like I would never like. They're people that I would never like probably interact with outside of the context of being in a ward with, I mean, in the rehab center with these people, but because I was there, like we're all ingratiating and making friends and stuff, and a lot of them like came from prison. I could tell, like, or they would just like outright tell me, and like that mentality wasn't there that much in the beginning. It was after a while, which I might get into, but like
But it started to show a little more as the days progressed.
no. So what happened? What made it so shitty? Like why it became really downhill really quickly is most of the cool people, like Brandon and Eric and like all these other people, they all discharged. They left because their time was up, and they're like, well, like I.
So you were getting there as they were on their way out, and you only got to spend
Yeah,
like,
a
week
week
with them.
basically, and but in their place, they just kept getting all these like absolute loons, and like I am not, like I said, I'm not, I don't want to sound ableist, and I'm also not like all there.
You're not sick, but
Yeah,
you're
exactly,
not well.
that sort of yeah. Thank you, Harvey Danger. Yeah, that sort of thing. But no, there were just some new. So after Brandon left, I didn't even get like an hour to myself before they gave me a new roommate, and I was like, "Oh, that's fine. I'm sure it'll be like another cool person, like the last person I had." And who it was this guy around my age that had literal permanent meth psychosis and would constantly be laughing and talking to himself like at like a 7 out of 10 volume. And like if you look at it, like, so Chris, you live in Toronto, I mean in Ontario,
Yeah, I
you
live in that area.
know what drug fiends are like, obviously, because there's plenty of them in.
There's plenty in my city and surrounding cities.
You know how like when you encounter one, it's kind of like you're just counting down the seconds until they leave you alone, that kind of thing.
I've had a guy follow me to the bus stop just talking about the drugs and like telling me like, "Oh, we're going to get some tonight. You want to join?" And I'm like, "Well, sure." And then he didn't like tell me like where to go or how to contact him. He's just like, "All right, see you there." Like
That's awesome.
yeah, okay.
But well,
Like yeah, I'm just gonna show up to this place. I know where these guys are.
so I guess my point though is imagine so you have just picture any of those like just drug people that like are twitching and stumbling around and like talking to themselves and stuff, and I want you to imagine that that's your roommate for the next 3 weeks.
It would suck. Jesus Christ, I couldn't do it. I couldn't handle the guy following me to the bus stop. I don't think I could handle him being my roommate.
For like half a month, or no, almost
Yeah.
like almost a month. Like
It would get to me after a day. Like I consider it the worst day of my life if that happened, and that's like every day for half a month.
oh, that's what it was at first. Like I was just sitting there trying to read this Daniil Kharms book that I got, who's just some like a Russian avant-garde surrealist, like absurdist writer who is very fascinating to me. I like was reading his stuff a lot in there, but I was trying to read it and I just couldn't hear it over this guy. Like the best way, like I described it as it sounded like he was talking backwards in AAVE, which is not even like that off. Like that's literally what he sounded like. Like he was kind of like he was talking like like a wigger basically, and but also like what he was saying was absolute nonsense. And it's like at first he was like either like Asian or Indian or something. I didn't get a good enough look at him because I just didn't want to be around him. But when he would talk to himself, I was like, oh, he's probably speaking in his native tongue. But then I listened in a little more closely and know he was speaking English. There's like his own variant of it, I guess. And
he was speaking like a white guy with a do-rag, but backwards.
yeah, well, he's like totally speaking in tongues, basically. Like, I wrote in my journal that he was so perma'd that he couldn't even pay low tax $10 to come back. Like,
Wow.
he was just that. And that guy also would snort Seroquel in the bathroom. I don't know if I told you about that.
I didn't know any of this.
So this guy, I was just like sitting there taking a shit one day, and I had heard from other people that. So what this guy would do is you have to have your Seroquel, which is like an antipsychotic medication for anybody that doesn't know. But I take it for sleep. But it has a lot of different uses. But So they had to crush it because they didn't want people like pretending to put it in their mouths and then like spit it out and then like take it off to like snort it or whatever. But so what they would do is they would crush it. But what this guy would do, he would get his crushed Seroquel and like take it in front of the med desk, like put it in his mouth in front of the med desk, which like you're required to do. But then pretend to consume it, like pretend to like down it with water or whatever. He'd be like, okay, thank you. Then he would go around the corner and spit it into his hand and then take it into the bathroom and snort it with like not even a...
That is like, I don't know how to describe that. It's just like such a stretch just to do that. Like he's going through all these steps just so he can snort his Seroquel.
Yeah, and like... And the thing is, I didn't look this up, but snorting Seroquel cannot have that much of an effect at all. Like it's not meant to be used like that. Like even like Adderall, you can snort, and it's like just basically like it lasts way less time than if you were to take it by pill form, but it gives you like way more immediate of a rush, and like it is just because I mean Adderall is just like prescribed meth basically, but I
mean, this guy just had to take what he could.
Oh no, because like I'm pretty sure he was just literally like addicted to snorting anything. Like his thing was meth before, but like he clearly just had a thing for things going up his nostrils, basically, and
it probably wasn't even. It didn't matter what it was. It was just like the feeling of that.
Yeah, because he wouldn't.
It was even if it wasn't giving him any.
He wouldn't act any different. He would still just walk around like laughing, talking to himself and stuff, but so. I was taking a shit just one day, and he didn't know that anyone else was in there, but I don't think he would have cared anyway because he was just so permud. He walked in, I heard like the sink get turned on, and then I heard like just a bunch of like noises, like he's spitting, and he even had a toothbrush with him to get out the rest of the powder out of his mouth that he felt he missed.
That's dedication.
It really was. And so
I almost admire that.
Oh no, I kind of did too, but then he put it on the I didn't see any of this because I was in the stall, but he like put it all on the counter, I imagine, and then just like that kind of thing. And it but he was also making just the weirdest fucking noises. Like I couldn't even like, it sounded like a monster in, like, a horror game on, like, the PS2. Like, I could not ever, like, even recreate the sound. Like, it was fucking bizarre. So that guy, he was only my roommate for about an hour, though, thankfully, because, like, one of the staff people came up to me, and they knew that, like, this guy was, something. Like, this was before the Seroquel thing, but this is the first day that he showed up. They knew that this guy was, like, going nowhere fast or whatever, and they came and talked to me, and they were like, hey, how you doing? Are you like how are you dealing with having a roommate or whatever? And I was like, can I like that guy was in there, and I'm just like, can I like walk with you and like talk this out or whatever, or like talk to you about this? And so I walked, we went and had cigarettes, and I was like, that guy is insane, and I can't like be around him. I can't even pay attention to reading books, like it's that distracting. And they're like, well, do you want to move? And I'm like, yes. Please.
That rhetorical question.
I know. And so I got my own room, thank God. It was way like I got a single bedroom, which was cool. Although I liked having a roommate before. It's just that this new guy was so fucking something that I couldn't even put up with it. And yeah, so I'll just sit in my room from that point on and like read all the time. I was reading let's see, what all did I read? I read Ghosts of My Life by Mark Fisher, which is basically about hauntology, which is sort of just kind of catch-all term or whatever for something that kind of exists, like something that exists out of space-time, but is also like based on a future that either never happened or will never happen. Like it's a real like fucking weird philosophical concept, but I thought it was a really interesting book though. They were talking about like how all this different kind of music and media and stuff relates to this whole hauntology theme, like how music like Burial and stuff just exists out of what feels like outside of the space of anything. I don't know, that fucking...
That's actually pretty cool. I would probably end up reading something like that.
And then I read that Daniil Kharms book that I was talking about, which that
That's the one I actually would like. That if I'm gonna read something, I'd probably really want to get into that.
Yeah, that it's on Amazon. It's called Today I Wrote Nothing, which if that sounds familiar to anybody who like knows like Anthony Fantano core music, the rapper Billy Woods named an album Today I Wrote Nothing after like that quote from him, which I think is really random for like a hip hop artist to be like, yeah, here's a album based on, like with a title that comes from a Russian avant-garde surrealist. Like that's awesome.
Yeah. But this guy's life and just like his work is so like interesting. It's like very unique. There's nothing else.
Yeah,
really
I was
like
telling
him.
Chris about him a little bit. According to like this book that I was reading, it has like a little biography about him at the beginning, and one of his favorite things to do was find busy street corners, like busy sidewalks in Russia, then like lay down on them like something was seriously the matter, and then after he built like a huge crowd of people around him, like, hey sir, are you okay, you know, blah blah blah, he would just stand up and walk away like nothing happened. And like saying
It was like Eric Andre back in like the 20th century.
yeah, and like this guy just, and the stuff that he wrote is like just absolutely out there. Like I flipped to a page, one of like right just now, one of my favorite like his poems are pretty short, or like his little writings, they're pretty short, and this one, there was a red-headed man who had no eyes or ears. He didn't have hair either, so he was called a redhead arbitrarily. He couldn't talk because he had no mouth. He didn't have a nose either. He didn't even have arms or legs. He had no stomach, he had no back, no spine, and he didn't have any insides at all. There was nothing, so we don't even know who we're talking about. We'd better not talk about him anymore. Which, like...
That sounds like a tweet, or like some sort of shit post.
Yeah, this guy's an early shit poster, basically, but... The thing is, he's also, like, a very, like, incredible, like, very insightful writer when he wants to be, but he'll usually have it be in the form of, like, a window talking to people out of nowhere. Like, the dude just had this...
Oh, yeah, that one was really
like,
funny.
it would just be... So it was, like, the story that... Like, the whole thing was basically an interaction between, like, two people, and it would be structured, like, a person's name, then colon, space, like, what they were saying, that kind of thing. But then it ends with... This is like the window with a colon, and then it's like I am the window, like you know, air travels through me. I am a hole in the side of buildings, and I'm like, what the fuck am I reading? This is awesome. Anyway, so then I also read Notes from Underground. Well, not all of it. I read like half of it from Fyodor Dostoevsky, Notes from Underground, which is so funny because like. That book is supposed to be from the point of view of somebody that's so neurotic and insane that they're, like, completely just not all there and are, like, getting out these horrible, like, or not horrible, but really neurotic, strange thoughts that they're having. And I didn't know that. When I read this book, I was like, wow, I've never related to a person in a book more in my fucking life. And then when I thought of that, I'm like, like, am I all there or whatever? I don't fucking know, but...
Some existential
like,
thoughts.
An entire part in this book where this person spends, like, 10 or 20 pages trying to... Like, they're explaining their plan to bump shoulders, like, not, like, bump, you know, like, rub shoulders or whatever, but literally bump shoulders with this police officer that he deems as beneath him, just so we can feel something. Like... Which is fucking... I don't know. There's something to it. And I also read a book on Joy Division by my favorite, Chris Ott, who is absolutely...
How was that book? You told me that, like... What were you going to say first, though?
Oh, just that Chris Ott is absolutely EMESIS certified, and if none of you have ever watched his Shallow Rewards video series, please... Like, when you're done with this or whatever, look up Shallow Rewards and like, punch that into YouTube.
Yeah, there's uploads of it on YouTube. But you were explaining how the way he talks in his videos was different than his writing, and the only reason you like knew it was his writing was because it was obviously published by him.
Well, yeah, so it was just like a book about Unknown Pleasures by Joy Division, and like the background of the band, then the background of the album, what led into it, all these EPs that had recordings of songs, or like bootlegs that had recordings of songs that ended up being re-recorded for Unknown Pleasures, like that kind of thing. It was really interesting. Like, I enjoyed reading it a lot, but at the same time, I wouldn't have known that Chris Ott wrote it if it wasn't for the fact that it says Chris Ott on the front, because for those of you who know, Chris Hott has a very like abrasive, very singular way of conducting himself and writing and talking and stuff. Like he uses a lot of like he can be a very, very negative person, but in a way that I think is kind of awesome. Like
he could rip apart your favorite band and you'll be like, no, keep talking, like I want to listen.
Like I don't love Arcade Fire or anything, but he said that he would battle lions in a coliseum if it meant that he could erase Arcade Fire from ever existing. He also said one time about swans that G.G. Allen at least had the nerve to play with his own shit. Michael Gira just subjected his audience to the audio equivalent of it.
That's I think that might be one of my favorites of his. Mainly because I don't really care for swans, so that one, like, extra.
Oh, I fucking hate swans, yeah, so that was, like... But then again, he'll say the same kind of things about, like, Pearl Jam, and I'm like, go off, King, even though I love Pearl Jam.
Yeah, that's the one, like, I get interested, because I remember he was, like, shit-talking them, and I'm like, okay, come on, dude. But then I was like, wait, I actually like what he's saying, even though I don't agree.
Oh, yeah, like, I love Pearl Jam, and I was like, this is awesome, like... He called it like Battle of the Bands bullshit. And I'm like, that's hilarious. Yeah. I don't care, man.
And he's like, you know who liked Pearl Jam? Girls like Pearl Jam.
Dude, yeah, he's fucking perfect. And he's like, thing is like he's a great writer, but a lot of the time his like voice just has a different tone in his writing. And this Joy Division book was definitely like that. But I thought it was very fascinating. Just like. And I had a lot of other books with me that I intend to read at some point. I brought, like, Confessions of a Mask, the Yukio Mishima book, which...
the Mario 3 book by
I literally tried to find a PDF of that so I could, like, physically print it out and then bring it with me. But I couldn't find it anywhere, and I definitely couldn't find a fucking physical copy of it.
It's lost media.
Yeah, like, it's about as easy to find as How to Bomb the U.S. Government, that $1 Million Extreme book. Movie Bob book, though, I really wanted to read it. In it, Movie Bob compares... He says that his personal Vietnam was Mario 3's release. And then
No, he said that was the console war.
Oh, the console wars,
like, my own personal Vietnam. And then he referred to... I think it was Mario 3's release, like when it was revealed in the Wizard movie, as like... one of the most important things in American, or not American history, but he said something really.
No, he said that it was as historically significant as 9/11 and the JFK assassination.
Yeah, that was it. I was trying to think about it. Yeah, he said it was like one of the most like historically significant events when it's like in some really shitty movie that people watch just so that they could see Mario 3, and then people were like, "Oh, cool! It wasn't that big of a deal."
And I mean, it was probably a cool reveal, you know. I wasn't there in 1980, whatever, but there's no way that it was, like, had that much of an impact like fucking 9/11.
People were talking about it for, like, months.
They literally changed airport security because of Mario 3, yeah.
Yeah.
They were banning a bunch of songs from the radio if they didn't invoke Mario 3.
Yeah. I think that book sounds amazing for, like, the wrong reasons. Like, he probably put a lot of effort into it, but it just turned out to be like laughing stock material.
Well, this Movie Bob in general, like he puts a lot of effort into things he says. It's just what he's fucking saying is like
every time.
Like all the shit that he says is just like, oh my god, he said that like the Avengers Endgame was our modern equivalent of like Greek comedies in the like Colosseums or whatever, shit like that. And I'm like, dude, it's a movie where Captain America throws his shield at the bad guy.
Like, it would have made sense if he was saying that about, I don't know, some movie that's really highly regarded. I guess The Godfather.
Good Time.
Yeah, Good Time. But, like, you know, The Godfather is one of those movies that everybody, like, movie fans like and normies know is, like, a good movie. Or
even, like, Fellowship of the Ring or something. Like.
Yeah, like, even the Lord of the Rings movies, if you said that they were, like, that important. But, like... the Marvel movies, sure, they're, like, fun entertainment, but... and I guess, like, they did have, like, a cultural significance, but I wouldn't say that they're, like, up there as, like, the most important things that have ever happened in media.
Yeah, like, I made this point to Chris one time, but you, EMESIS listener, I want you to think of, like, a movie you think is a 10 out of 10, and I want you to think of, like, that very visceral, like, physical, like, engagement you get out of watching that movie. For me, that's movies like Good Time or Terminator 2 or The
Dirties.
Dirty. Yeah, The Dirties.
The Dirties, absolutely.
Or like Dreamwork, which is a really good short film, or an amazing short film. I gave it 10 out of 10. But so that is Movie Bob when he watches this like cape shit, you know. That is like that level of like, oh my god, I can't fucking believe that just happened or whatever. That is him when like Thanos snaps or whatever. Like,
see, like, I could understand liking that stuff, but then you watch a movie like The Raid, and then you're like, wait, this is what action should be. And it, like, changes your perspective on the genre.
Although, probably not if you're Bob. I feel like he'd probably watch that, and he's like, yeah, this is cool, but I'd rather be watching, like, Wonder Woman 1984.
Probably. But, like, if you haven't seen The Raid, that is a must-watch movie. I don't know if people will get as much out of it as I did, but holy shit, it is the best action movie I've ever seen, and I've seen quite a few, and the sequel is just as good.
I need to talk about one of the best movies I've ever seen, which I watched in rehab. It's called Untraceable. I told you about it a little, Chris, but
it's the best worst movie ever.
It is literally one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. And so it's a movie, I best describe it as like Saw, but the internet. But it's also from a genre that I like to call internet movies made by people that have never used the internet before. People that have heard of the internet through like their kids or something, but have never actually like used Google even. And so this movie, it kind of opens. It's got like the single mom, like really stereotypically happy family, as like a young child, like a young daughter, and lives with her grandma, like a multi-generational family sort of thing. And she works for the FBI as like a cybercrime, like, I don't know.
The moment you told me cybercrime, I was like, yeah, this movie's probably awful.
Oh, it absolutely is. But so she like stops cybercrime basically by oh my god, so like
by turning people's computers off.
Well, one of the first scenes in the movie is she's like, all the fucking dialogue in this movie is like, and yeah, so I got my virtual machine to firewall his ISP, and you can tell that it's coming from a separate facility in Russia. Like shit, like that literally is like one of the things that happens in the beginning is like they're trying to figure out where, like, so I guess they have like a VPN or whatever, and they have it so that it's like set to be taking place somewhere else. So,
but they make it sound like it's this really like high-tech undercover thing when it's like the person just turned a VPN on that they bought online.
Yeah, and so
they were using NordVPN or whatever.
Use promo code EMESIS for 30% off your ExpressVPN today. Don't let the corporations hack your data. No, so this movie, yeah, so she's working at a cybercrime thing, and they're trying to figure out who's doing these strings of serial murders that are taking place live streamed on this website that the person created called killwithme.com. That, like, it has the fucking dumbest, like, interface in the world. It's like this, like, edgy, like, blood red color. And you have to, like, make an account with the username and stuff. And it has, oh my god, in one of the scenes, it has this, like, text flashing across, or, like, scrolling across the bottom of this Kill For Me website, or Kill With Me website, and it has, you remember, like, how there would be, like, those fake, like, LOL, ROTFL things? It was all shit like that, like, TFP for thanks for playing and stuff like that.
Oh.
And it would go up to, like, 7 fucking letters for these acronyms, and while they're flashing by, like, these people somehow know what these are, and they're like, oh my god, he just said, like, good kill, time to play again, or whatever, that kind of thing.
And that's, like, an acronym that these people are using.
Yeah, it's one that they know already. When, like, I don't know, nobody ever uses those around me. And
they made up their own for the sake of this movie's universe.
And the way this movie works is this killer kidnaps people, and then, like, elaborates the traps in such a way where the more people that are viewing the live stream, the quicker the person dies. So, for instance, there's one part where a person is trapped in, like, a vat of water that goes up to their neck, and being slowly dispersed in this water is, like, battery acid, or, like, some, like, or I don't know, acid that can, like, you know, dissolve skin, basically. And the more people that are watching this stream, the more acid gets dispersed, like, quicker into this little thing in his vat.
I wish we had that kind of technology.
I know. I was just like sitting there wondering, like, who the fuck, like, wouldn't you want to patent this technology, like, where if more people are watching something, it happens, like, faster or something? So that could be used to, like, renew energy or something. Like, that's interesting. But, no, it was just so unrealistic. And the first kill in the movie is, like, of a small kitten. Like, basically, they're, like, feeding it, like, poisoned food or something, and they're like, oh, the more people are watching, the more poisoned the food is or whatever. Like, I know that the only reason that happened is because they want to be like, wow, look how evil this guy is. He's not just killing people, he's killing animals. And it's like, yeah, that's fucked up, but, like, I don't know.
Well, they actually are in touch with the internet. They know that the internet likes cats, and so they have them kill a cat. So they know what they're doing, man. You're just
and
dumb.
Like, there's another scene in the movie where, like, this police chief or whatever is giving a speech, and he's like, anyone who signs on to view these is an accomplice in the murder. It's like, what? This is because you're, like, curiosity checking in on somebody, like, getting, like, eaten to death or whatever. That means that you're...
No, you're just as guilty.
I know, right? Like, what is this fucking weird guilty by association bullshit? What is this, 2021? Like, I don't... Like, the movie came out in 2008, like... And I don't get it, because, like, I'm pretty sure the moral of this movie was just that the internet is bad, or, like, I don't know, can be used for bad things. And it's so fucking dumb. I gave it a 0.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd, but, like, I wouldn't let that deter you from watching it, EMESIS listeners. I would say it gets really boring, actually, like, about, I don't know, halfway through. It's like a fucking hour, 40-minute movie, so, like, I would not recommend watching all of it. I'd say the first half hour is fucking hilarious. I need to show Chris it sometime, because it is, like... You have not seen that many things that are so out of touch with the internet, despite being entirely about the internet.
It's like the opposite of Spree, where Spree is, like, very, like, at least, like, in terms of the interfaces that they use, or even a movie like Searching. It's like those two movies portray internet usage in film really well, whereas, like, this Untraceable movie is not at all portraying anything correctly or accurately. Like, you said that there is, at the end... The live stream has like 20 million people.
Okay, yeah. So
once.
The last kill of the movie, or what's supposed to be a killing at the very end of the movie. I'll spoil it. I don't fucking care. But nobody's gonna be watching this piece of shit anyway for the plot. But like the cybercrime lady is the final victim in the spree murder that is taking place or serial murder that's taking place on the internet, and since this is, I guess, like, the Kill With Me's grand finale, literally, as this is happening, okay, so she's, like, suspended upside down with, like, a, saw blade under her that is going to be, like, cutting her in half, but she's descending slower the more people are, like, signing on, and I don't know how she didn't just, like, immediately fall down onto the blade, because the, fucking... eventual count reached, like, over 24 million people watching it at once. Like, that was the exact number. And I'm like...
That's, like, half of Canada watching it.
That's, like, more... Like, that's fucking more people than, like, watch the Grammys or, like, the Oscars, like, put together every year. Like, that's an insane amount of people. And, like, I'd kind of understand if somebody, like, kidnapped, I don't know, Elon Musk or something and were, like, about to kill him in that way. But not just some like... As far as they're concerned, it's just some random woman. It's not like anybody notable that, like, everyone would be signing on to see them get killed. It's just some fucking person. And it was hilarious. But the movie ends very anticlimactically with you find out who the killer is. It's just some guy. Like, this was to have some kind of setup. Oh yeah, this movie is on the front of the box. The reason I picked it up, like, in this DVD collection is it said, Silence of the Lambs for the Internet Age. And I'm like, all right, we're watching this immediately. And it's, like, nothing like Silence of the Lambs. I don't know where the fuck that person got that hint from.
Because people die in both movies, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that movie was great. So they find the killer, and then she just, like, beats him up and kills him. And then the movie's over. And, like, wow, that was an hour 40 of my life that I'm never getting back. But it was either that or watching Cars, so I guess I might as well have, you know.
You could have watched Cuck. I watched that.
Oh yeah, tell me about that.
Cuck. Yes, that's the name of the movie from 2019. It apparently came out on the same day as Joker, which is kind of funny.
Do you think it was intentional?
It might have been. I don't think it was. I think it was just like that was the general release time for films, because I think everything gets released on like the same day. Same deal with music.
Oh yeah, on Fridays it's music.
Yeah, so it might have just been one of those things. But the Cuck movie is about this guy. He's, I think, late 20s. Maybe he's in his 30s. He lives with his mom, lower middle class, gets really into right-wing political people, like the Sargon of Akkad type of channels, except they don't use actual channels in this movie. They have made-up ones, and they don't use YouTube. They use, like, some random website. And so he watches a lot of those, tries to get with some women, it fails. He gets a minimum wage job, complains about minorities taking jobs or whatever. Well, he does in these videos he makes. He starts making videos like the guys he likes to watch, and then
who are the guys that he likes to watch? Like this.
So I can't remember the name of this channel that he was watching, but they have this really funny quote at the beginning where they're like, "So are you gonna take the red pill, or are you gonna be just another cuck?"
Oh my god!
And then that's like the intro of the movie is this like Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk type channel saying that kind of thing, and so this guy. There's like 15, I think within 15 minutes, my friends and I counted that this guy had jerked off like 3 times in this movie already.
So he's a coomer.
And he likes MILF porn, which comes back later in the movie when at this job he gets, he starts talking to this MILF there, and then he gets fired from this job. I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but the film is kind of like all over and there's a lot of unimportant stuff. I'm trying to just go through all the important story beats. But the next big part that happens is there's these 3 black dudes like kind of hanging out at their car after finishing shopping. And he tells them to move their car because I guess they were being loud and he didn't like that. And they kind of just say, like, yeah, whatever. And then he calls them like the N-word, hard R.
Oh my god.
And they beat the shit out of him. The store owner comes out and he's like an Indian dude, and he gets mad at the store owner and calls him a sand N-word. And
for trying to help him?
For like I guess like intervening or whatever.
Wait, so he wanted to get beat up?
I think he wanted to fight these guys. And then he gets fired, and so he storms off, and then he decides I guess because there's like this random scene at the beginning. He sees this house where this MILF is, and so he knows where she is now. And he like knocks on their door, asks if he can do yard work for them. So they let him, and then they're like, "You want to hang out with us tonight?" And so they do, and that turns into him starring in their cuck porn. So he is the cuck in this porn that the MILF is doing with her husband or whatever.
This movie's a ride.
Yeah, and so he gets in there, he gets paid for that because that's his job now, so he keeps going over there to star in these videos, and then he keeps uploading his own videos to the YouTube equivalent. And at first he was getting mass dislikes, but then at this point I think like some people started watching him. He wants
to go to BitChute.
Yeah, it was like that kind of thing, except I think it was just supposed to be a YouTube copy because all the comments were like, you're pathetic, dude, and it was dislikes. Or if it was BitChute, everyone would be like, yeah, the alien pedophiles are stealing our kids' hearts and choking on them. It'd be like that kind of thing.
This fucking cuck movie. Like, I can't tell. Like, are the people who made it, do they like the main character? Like, are they trying to, like, say that he's,
I feel like they don't. I feel like they're trying to make you feel bad for him, and then at the end you're like, oh, he's a bad person, which we'll get to how that happens. But, yeah, so there's this, like, rally that he goes to, and he wants to meet his favorite YouTube guy, favorite political commentator. And so he ends up, like, he wants to network with this guy. And then the guy is like, oh, don't you know? Like, and he pulls out his laptop and shows that, like, these cuck videos have gone viral. And then the guy, like, freaks out. And then when he gets home, he goes on to the comment section of his videos, and everyone's, like, making fun of him for being in cuck porn. And so this turns into him going on, like, a big killing spree. He just, like, kills a bunch of people.
So it just becomes Spree then. The Cuck Spree.
Yeah, it's like Taxi Driver, I guess. Except really fucking stupid.
Who does he kill? Just random people?
Yeah, and some characters that were in the film earlier on, and then he was gonna kill the son that worked at the store of the store owner, and then he decides not to.
What is it with all these movies and just having, like, the random twist where it's like, nah, he's just gonna kill people now?
Like, that's literally what happened. Like, it starts off, okay, you got this guy, he's making these videos, he gets his job, loses his job, keeps making videos, and then stars in porn, and now he's a killer because people made fun of his porn.
Like...
That's the movie.
When somebody rates my music low on Rate Your Music, I don't go out and shoot someone.
Yeah, well, that's what this guy thinks is the right thing to do, is to just take out his rage on everyone else because his life is miserable.
Like, which I guess is kind of like the, like, Charlie Kirk type watcher thing to do, but...
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It was funny to watch, but it was very insufferable. Like...
You said it kind of like, felt like a drag.
It felt like a drag, but if you're watching it with friends and you're making quips the whole time, then it's fun to watch.
Well, yeah, I would never fucking watch that on my own, but if we were in, like, a voice call or something,
Yeah,
I would
like, it's still a half star, but it's a fun half star.
Well, yeah, that's kind of like Untraceable, almost.
Yeah.
Like, we now have our own, like, movies like that. I have Untraceable, you got Cuck.
Yeah.
I just love that. Like, that sounds like a Tim Heidecker movie or something. Where he, like...
It was really, like, it felt like a parody. I wasn't, at first, for the longest time, I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be, like, a movie made by BitChute users, or if it was, like, a movie trying to show off, like, oh, this kind of political view is bad and evil, and they're all killers, but...
Maybe it's like a Dhar Mann kind of thing, where, like, they're just very politically neutral.
Yeah, like, I guess you're supposed to kind of feel for the character. Like, you're like, oh, his life is kind of miserable, but then he does all these things that you're like, yeah, that's inexcusable, and he deserves to, like, get the shit beat out of him.
Rehab, we were talking about that at some point. So I guess what made this place completely turn to shit is, like I said, all the cool people most of the cool people that I was there with left, and in their place... were a lot of people that, like, came straight from prison. I don't mean, like, they, like, oh, like, straight out of the slammer into here. Like, literally, they got car rides from prison.
From a cop car.
Yeah, to here, to, like, or to that place that I was staying at. Me, this fucking dumb, like, docile little child, basically, that... would just sit around reading books and, like, crossing my legs while smoking cigarettes. And these people were very homophobic. And, like, I'm not even gay, so, like, it was very funny to me that, like, one of them called me a twink, not to my face, but, I just heard, like, they were passing by my room, and they were talking about the twink, which was obviously me, because nobody else there looked anything like that. And I was like, well... yeah, this place kind of sucks. And there's, like...
they're like, that boy has long hair.
Oh, no, literally, yeah. And I was just kind of thinking, like, I don't know. I probably, like, have gotten more pussy than they have. And not only that, but, like, the only pussy I imagine they would even be able to get are, like, women that look like they're from, like, Sons of Anarchy. Like, you know, biker tat, like, bad bitches or whatever.
Yeah.
And...
trash.
Yeah, and some of them were just, like, really mean. I don't know. And they were so fucking loud. Like, everyone would just... So there is no shutting a door at Pioneer Center North, which is where I went. There's no shutting a door. There's slamming it. There's, like, hitting it. There's fucking... anything but just kind of shutting
Everything you can do to make people know that you just closed the door.
Yeah, and to know that you're in, like, a bad mood or whatever. And there was this fucking guy that, he I was telling, like, a little group of people about that Seroquel story of the guy snorting it, and he's like, you know, you need to go up right now and to, like, tell that to the front desk. This is a recovery place that, like, and don't go in there like, oh, I don't want to be a snitch, like, that kind of shit doesn't fly here. And I'm like, oh, yeah, this guy's gonna do really well here. He's already telling me to go snitch on somebody, and he's been here for, like, a day. Like...
yeah, okay.
While all these, like, literal prison people are here, like, yeah, we know how they feel about snitching. They're gonna love that.
Yeah, they're gonna fucking beat the shit out of you if that came out.
like one of the only cool people there was this guy Dave. There were like 4 or 5 Daves there, but Dave P, who he was like my dad's age, like I don't know, like early 50s. Like I think he was like 52 or something. And the first, like, he was like there with the when I got there, so like he wasn't like one of the new people, but we were sitting there talking one of these times, and he's like, I don't know, we were just like talking about like, I don't know, music or whatever, and he's like, hey, you ever hear of Boards of Canada? And I'm like, well, it's
That probably like made your eyes light up.
oh, I know. I was like, holy shit, I fucking love Boards of Canada. Like, they're, like, amazing. And we were just, like, we were talking for, like, 10, 20 minutes just about Boards of Canada and how awesome they are. And, like, he had an MP3 player that he brought in with him that had, every single, like, thing Boards of Canada has ever done, like, including, like, DJ mixes that they've done and stuff. Like, the dude was really with it for some reason.
That's really deep cut.
Yeah, like, at one point, we literally sat... So there was, like, no room to specifically play, like, CDs, but there was, We learned that you could play... CDs and MP3 players. We learned that you could plug the MP3 player into the Blu-ray player, which was in the TV room, and the TV room had, like, closed doors, so it wasn't, like, bothering anyone else to play music in there, and we literally sat there for 2 straight hours listening to this Boards of Canada DJ mix that they did that, like... And I didn't get up a single time. It was really almost kind of like, almost like romantic or something. This guy was married, but like, it's very, like, it's like I haven't had that intimate experience like with my own dad in like fucking forever. Like it was really funny. Just sitting there listening to like, it was really weird. It had this like weird, like it was a combination of like funk, like folk from other countries, like psychedelic electronic motifs, like. For 2 hours, it was crazy, and there was some like post-punk type stuff in there, like stuff I wouldn't expect, like that I wouldn't expect to hear at all in a Boards mix. But no, it was really fucking cool. And
so, who was the guy that you were telling me about that said Punch Drunk Love was the worst movie from Adam Sandler, and then they said then they also like had good taste. They said Resident Evil.
Oh, that was
like
that was Brandon.
Was that was the comic guy?
He was like the only one that was with it, like in terms of knowing a lot, like other than the Boards of Canada guy, like of knowing like stuff that I would talk about. Like I remember like one of the things we talked about was old fake cheat codes like online from before, like people would vet and verify that your cheats are real, like because he was telling me about one that if you play as Bowser in Mario Kart 64 and you lose like a certain amount of times, then you can play as Bowser wearing roller skates.
What?
Yeah, and like there's something that he read online that like he like as a kid or whatever, he was like, oh wow, that's probably true, and so he tried it and it didn't work. And he's like, from that point on, I just realized like don't believe everything you read on the internet.
Yeah, sometimes there was stuff. There's like unofficial gaming magazines that would have like fake shit in them too that people would believe because it's published.
I remember I got one from a fucking like a book fair at my elementary school that said that in like Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship like 2004 or 5 for the GBA, that if you lost a certain amount of times as Mokuba, or like lost to Mokuba enough times, you could actually play as him. And I'm like, so I would just sit there and like lose to Mokuba 20 times in a row to see if I could play as him, and that never fucking happened. There was also
what a disappointment.
There was also one I remember from Mario 64 that if you punch a butterfly, it'll turn into a bomb, but I never like got that to work. So I just assume that's bullshit.
I never had anything like that. I had Nintendo Power actually from like 2006 to 2008, so like for a year or two I had it, and that was a really cool magazine.
They are cool. Like
I didn't even have like the classic ones. Like I know everyone raves about like the Super Nintendo era and like N64 era. This was like early Wii, late GameCube era. I was like 6 years old, 7, 8.
Oh well, late GameCube is sick, like that era.
Like I remember like the issues for like when Twilight Princess was new and upcoming Wii titles and all that kind of shit. Animal Crossing coming out for the Wii.
I just can't believe being told that Punch Drunk Love is the worst Adam Sandler movie, though. That means Pixels is better than Punch Drunk Love.
Yeah, like unless he was talking about like...
I think he's like talking about the ones that he's seen. Like
of the ones he's seen or of like the ones that are considered good, because I don't know. The Punch Drunk Love is in the Criterion Collection, and the like most of the other ones are not. So
Well, didn't you know that only Doug Walker likes that movie?
it's like movies I like that everyone else hates. And
yeah, so Doug Walker has this video.
Love.
Yeah, Doug Walker has this video. It's like 11 movies I like that everyone else dislikes, and one of them is literally Punch Drunk Love. That movie that's in the Criterion Collection.
Good taste, though. Like, I saw a list of his favorite movies, and a lot of them, even if I haven't seen them, they look like movies just from reception that are really highly reviewed.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, his favorite movie of all time is Brazil, which I hear is, like, an incredible movie.
That's, like, a good taste kind of movie to like.
It's funny, because if you look at, like, James Rolfe's, like, top movies list, it's stuff like... I mean, Terminator 2 is one of my favorites, but you'll have, like, Ghostbusters and his, like, Jurassic Park and all these, like, really... Like, it'd be one thing if it was, like, a couple of those, but it's, like, almost all of his picks are just like that, you know, like, Back to the Future.
The blockbusters. He's really big into, like, the 70s, 80s, 90s blockbuster era.
And I guess it's not necessarily better to be into this kind of, like, more obscure, I guess... Not obscure, but, like, stuff that James Rolfe wouldn't watch. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't know what Uncut Gems is. Like, just knowing how they're not in touch he is with, like, that kind of thing.
He's not in touch. He's very much retro. It's not even just an AVGN bit. Like, he actually
fucking recorded his
behind in technology.
He recorded his Majora's Mask episode on like 25 DVDs instead of just using a fucking capture card.
That was just to collect the footage of gameplay on top of like filming himself.
On DVDs in 2020 or 19 or whenever that came out. So yeah, with Rehab, I just decided to leave because I hated that place. Everyone was mean and it was too loud. I couldn't like. I was also like, so they put me on a mood stabilizer and an antipsychotic that I was taking every single day, and they said that I like around like 3 weeks to a month in of taking this is when it was supposed to be like, you know, starting to take effect. And I could feel that as this place around me was like in complete chaos. And so I kept saying like I could handle one or the other. I could handle like my brain chemistry completely rewiring itself and making me feel like I'm going insane. And I could deal with like this insane amount of yelling and slamming and fucking people being really gross, like in terms of like fucking pissing on the toilet seats and stuff,
like their hygiene.
Yeah, like all this fucking annoying shit. And like people would like be like tracking dirt everywhere in the bathroom, and it was like really like hard to walk in there and stuff like that. There were like bugs that were crawling and stuff. It fucking sucked. But I would have been able to deal with that too. But that in combination with whatever mental fuck shit I was dealing with just did not lend itself well at all to that at all. So I decided to leave, and I came back, where I tried to get filled in on everything that's happened in the month that I was gone. And all I really like didn't seem like there was actually a ton that I missed out on, which was weird because when I'm home it feels like something new is happening every day. But one of the things that I learned is that Lindsay Ellis made a video where she apologized to Movie Bob.
Well, that was a small part of it. And it felt kind of like an apology that was there just so that they could move on kind of thing. Like, not like a sincere, like, oh, like, we should be friends kind of apology. Just like, oh, hey, sorry about that, by the way. And that was just like a segment of her whole, like, it wasn't an apology video. It was called Mask Off. And it was just her talking about being canceled for, like, over an hour.
Well, yeah, and apparently it worked because, like, she's not canceled anymore, I guess. Which, I thought it was absolutely insane that she was, like, canceled in the first place. Because what she said is, like, objectively not bad at all.
It's like, it's really stupid, and it was, like, that is, like, a dumb take, but it wasn't like, oh, you need to be deplatformed.
Yeah, like, fucking Bob doesn't get canceled for his opinion that the Avengers is the modern Greek comedies.
Or he doesn't get canceled that he believes in eugenics.
No, exactly. Like, people just laugh at him for that. But with Lindsay Ellis, I guess she's, like, taken more seriously or fucking something like that. And that's why, like...
Well, yeah, she made the nostalgia chick. But, I mean, I guess that's better than the game over thinker.
Well, most things... Like, Scott the Wads is better than the game over thinker. And I can't fucking stand that guy. But yeah,
I don't mind his videos. But yeah, they're definitely better than Game Over Thinker videos.
Yeah, he's a like I don't. He seems like a good person. I can't stand his content. But yeah, apparently in this video, she said that she did the rape rap because she was raped and like needed a coping mechanism, which was making this song. But then she went on to say that to accuse like the people at Channel Awesome of uploading the video without her permission when she put it in like a queue folder of. So apparently they have like a folder where when somebody's ready for a video to be uploaded on the, Channel Awesome place, they will put it in this folder, like very clearly cut and dry, like this video is ready to go. Please publish this. She said that
you couldn't do it accidentally.
She put it in there and then apparently said later in this video that Doug and company uploaded it without her co-signing off on it, which putting it in that folder is not even just an implicit cosign. It is cosigning. So
either she made a really stupid mistake, or she's fabricating the truth.
Well, she's absolutely fabricating the truth.
Yeah. Unless she's really that stupid and accidentally somehow put this video into this is going on YouTube for
Well, that's what I couldn't believe. I'm like, why would you? So I think the whole rape rap, her initial defense of it makes perfect sense. Don't be canceled for something like that if that's your coping mechanism for something bad like that happening to you. But then also don't then make up a complete fucking lie about it to then
you can say that it was maybe something that you shouldn't have made public, but then you try to make it no, you're the bad person for putting it on the internet when you put it on the internet, no one else did.
Well, yeah,
you can say Channel Awesome did, but you gave it to Channel Awesome to put on YouTube, and
you can't take that away. I just think it's weird that she tried, but it, like I said, it worked. She's not canceled anymore. She go back to talking about the heteronormative fat phobia of Disney movies or whatever.
And then Bob Chipman comments great work.
Oh, well, yeah, apparently, dude, that'd be so funny if now, they become friends, and Bob, finally gets his wish, he's, just DMing her constantly, hey, great video. She's like, aw, thanks, Bob. She's probably not gonna be calling him, Film Robert anymore.
Cinema Robert, or whatever.
Yeah, Film Robert, which I think is, the best nickname for anybody. Because, it literally is just Movie Bob. That's if my name was Music Jess or something.
Yeah, I mean, that username is so funny. Maybe that's why he is a funny person to mock, just because the username itself is really funny.
Well, I think it's that and his complete lack of self-awareness. Bob just never learns a goddamn thing, and that makes it kind of awesome to follow him. He can be completely destroyed by somebody and find a way to convince himself in his own mind that actually that person is in the wrong and he didn't get owned. He's not even that Wojak meme where somebody's seething on the inside but they're wearing a happy face or whatever. He's literally just he is the happy face and he doesn't realize that he shouldn't be.
That's a really good way of putting it.
And I fucking love it. There's nobody like him on the internet. Maybe there are, but they're not making videos like Bob is. They're not getting Patreon money to keep saying stupid things. You sent me one of his more recent videos where he, sounded very enthusiastic, but also like a robot at the same time. I can't really explain it.
He sounded like a robot doing a car sale, an auction, a going once, going twice kind of thing.
Can't believe that, though. It's uncanny. How do you have no energy and so much of it at the same time? That's being on an upper and a downer at the same time.
He has the energy. He lacks the emotion.
I thought he was on tramadol or something. So it's kind of Boogie 2988 conducts himself when he's high on that. Where he looks like he's about to fall asleep, but also has a lot of nervous energy as he's talking about the haters and the kiwi farms and the salmon Tolkien.
You should just throw a Boogie TikTok on the screen, just because.
Oh, God, I don't want to look at his fucking face again.
The Boogie, why do good girls like bad guys?
Dude, I miss Sam and Tolkien so much, but it's probably better for my mental state that I'm not there anymore, because all I would do is just get pissed off, like, seeing Boogie's face. And the fact that he just so vehemently hated the subreddit when, like, they were just saying what everyone else should be saying about him. I mean, then again, Boogie's audience, I mean, one of them called me a disgusting freak on Twitter one time, which I thought was...
Oh, I remember that.
And I just replied, hell yeah, 'cause I'm like, okay... I don't want to imagine the alternate universe where I take in the opinion of a fucking unironic Boogie 2988 crusader. Like,
modern year.
I know. It'd be one thing if they were like, well, that's kind of the problem is some of these people see Boogie from like 2014 or 15. Like, remember when he was like kind of like the old like dad of YouTube or whatever? Like he was like the cuddly,
likable, sensible guy.
Yeah, exactly. And now he's like Satan. Like, it's kind of amazing. Like,
I mean, at least he did something funny recently. He pointed a gun at someone. That was funny.
Oh, well, that's like one of the best memes to like happen.
I think we talked about that before, but like it's just so incredible.
I don't think we did, actually. I mean, this is way old news at this point, but yeah, he pointed a gun at Frank Castle, and it's still a great meme. Like, my favorite one was that like Fallout New Vegas one where it's like, you shouldn't have come back.
There was one, it was like the opening of Resident Evil 8, and it was fucking Boogie pointing a gun, which is a reference to something that happens at the start of Resident Evil 8.
Well, yeah, and then Boogie is the voice of that person. Man, I just wonder what would have happened if Boogie never got divorced. Like, he might actually still be like that cuddly dad of YouTube or whatever if that happened. Or, yeah, if he like stayed married.
The alternate universe that we'll never have.
Well, yeah, and then he just goes on to get, like, a girlfriend that's, like, 3 years younger than me.
Weird to think about. Jesus
and
Christ.
I'm literally half Boogie's age. He's 46. Which means that he's dating someone less than half his age. Well, not anymore. Fucking hopefully. I don't think he could even pay, like, sex workers at this point to come over and hang out with him. Man, it's been a while since we talked about Boogie, huh? I don't even think about him anymore.
Wasn't that like the very beginning of EMESIS?
Oh yeah, we talked about our good friend Boogie 2988 and how
having a stroke. That was the name of the episode. Our favorite YouTuber has a stroke,
which he absolutely has. I love his fucking stroke face. It is hilarious because he I don't know what happened. Where people are pretty sure he had like, because you can have like soft strokes as they call them, where like you're not even aware that you had a stroke and you don't have like that much like loss of brain function, but half your face just won't work, and that happened to him. He looks like fucking Two-Face from Batman. No, every time you see him, half of his face literally like it doesn't crinkle when he talks, it doesn't move, it doesn't like.
Oh God.
He can't raise one of his eyebrows. Like, I might post a picture.
Yeah, that's
like
bad.
You could probably Google Boogie stroke face right now and find, like, I mean, probably just...
Someone will be talking about it.
Probably just old pictures from Sam and Tolkien before it went away. One of God's lonely prototypes or whatever.
All your favorite subreddits are going away.
Yeah, they banned Cumtown, they banned that. I mean...
What's next, Rant Grumps?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be funny, because, like, Rant Grumps is so, like... Everyone on there is too nice to be, like, too mean.
Everyone makes it out to be as if it's, like, this toxic, vile place.
When the main Game Grumps subreddit is way more toxic.
Yeah, because the whole thing with Rant Grumps is it's people that liked the content, and now they're kind of upset that the content isn't there anymore. And people act like it's some, like, vile place like 8chan or whatever. And,
yeah, it's not. Like, most other like I said, the main Game Grumps subreddit is way more toxic. There's people that are like, actually, Dan and Aaron could never do anything wrong, and our fan base is so loving, so please fucking kill yourself and your entire family, because you have no purpose on this earth. I looked
at the mega thread of, like, Grump conspiracies out of, or not conspiracies, controversies out of curiosity, and almost all of them included, like, blank got doxxed as, like, a part of the story.
Yeah, I think, like, that happened with, the person who made, like, a Sonic Adventure 2, like, walkthrough that they said they didn't get anything out of, so they encouraged people to go harass this person for making a shitty, like, walkthrough, when it was literally them being bad at the game. But
Yeah,
nonetheless,
they didn't understand the walkthrough.
yeah, but nonetheless, all these people then went and fucking like raided this guy, and I guess like apparently doxed him, like found his real fucking info just based off the fact that he was this. He had some username that was probably like Shadow Deoxys 22 or something. Like through that, they were able to find his like home address, his real name. Like they did the Kiwi Farms thing, and it's so funny because they would also complain about Kiwi Farms being like, you know, toxic and awful and blah, you know, everything phobic
And then
or
they
whatever.
did the same thing.
Like, it's to the point that I wouldn't be surprised if the average like Game Grumps crusader called a black person that doesn't like Game Grumps the N-word, and then talk about how progressive they are. Because they're just
Yeah, they're
protecting.
like, oh, I'm just weeding out the bad ones.
They're just protecting Dan and Aaron. That's all. Those people that absolutely need defending from Aaron's money castle.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, his feelings might get hurt.
yeah, his poor Fifis. Like, I don't fucking get it, man. Oh, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just laughing. I was thinking about like when like it got exposed to the public that like Dan had like done like his whole grooming mine. Well, he wasn't grooming. People thought he was, but it turned out like he was still doing shitty things. He was doing the whole like
Yeah, like he was doing the
sex.
pump and dump thing.
Yeah, like having sex and ghosting, and like the only tweet that day that Aaron had was like an hour after that got announced, and it wasn't even like acknowledging it. It was like him talking about like, what if an astronaut had like spaghetti filled in their suit or something?
When it's like, there's no way he didn't know that was happening, which almost makes it kind of like weird. Like, it makes it really like,
Yeah,
Aaron, you didn't have to say anything.
because they didn't acknowledge like any of what happened, even though it's like really bad. Even though it wasn't as bad as people thought it was still really bad.
Well, it's probably the kind of thing where like they just figured if they said nothing about it, it would go away because the Game Grumps fan
And
base
it
doesn't
did.
care. It did go away though. Nobody cares anymore. Yeah, like
Yeah, exactly. That's
because
a good ending point, though, I think.
yeah. All right. Thank you for listening, everybody. We're gonna go now. I'm gonna go take a piss and then watch. How do you pronounce it? Cynic something New York.
Synecdoche, New York,
Yes.
which is going to blow your mind.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that later, and probably a bunch of like avant-garde short films and stuff because that's for some reason where my very stupid mind has been lately. So, thank you for listening, everybody. Stay off the rails. We'll be back at some later point.